And we are now live. Oh, great. So, eat those carrots if that's your thing.
Yes, I'm eating carrots.
Okay. Don't worry about the something.
Nobody's in the chat yet, right?
I don't think so. No, I haven't put it up, so
Okay.
YouTube will remember this though.
Okay.
What am I doing? Oh, damn it! I shouldn't have gone live. Well, it shows that'll teach me.
It's improv. Anything can
Yeah,
happen.
some minor technical difficulties, our friends. Oh,
So how far did you get in with you?
well, I mean, let's not talk about this now.
Okay.
The
Well, just what
people
episode?
can hear us right now.
Let's just spoil you for everybody.
Yeah. That's for a different stream.
Okay, but like what episode? What episode?
I just finished 7. I just finished
Okay.
7.
Okay.
Damn it. Night bird vid? No. What the hell is going on? God is punishing me for some reason. I should not have gone live. Damn it. Okay, fucking finally. Okay. Everyone just ignore the first few minutes. Everything you've heard.
Yeah.
I wish I could. How do I do? I can't. There's nothing I can do to redo this. So, hello, Auntie Cat. Look, Auntie Cat is here.
Auntie Cat, how you doing? This is the improv episode part of the episode.
Heavy rain. Welcome in. Nope, not gonna ignore. Heavy rain sees us for who we are. Okay, the countdown has begun. It started a minute ago.
Sad violin music.
I think it's perfect. The toast is drinking for the haunting.
I'm gonna miss the Rogue Planet theme while you don't have it.
Oh, it'll come on.
Oh, wait, okay. You just can't have background music? What's going on?
The Rogue Planet theme happens after the 5-minute countdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you were saying with your mixer, you said you
Yeah, I
couldn't
can
have
have background music.
Okay. All right. Apologies to anybody who's hearing me eat carrots.
Oh, we're here to do this.
I'm getting some food in before we start.
No, I think they all understand the stream game, but they're here to listen to you eat carrots to sad and spooky violin.
Yeah. Carrots and hummus.
Ooh.
That's my dinner.
Now you're making me ready for my second meal. Second meats or whatever the hobbits call it. That coming. That loud boom. Mayday! Come in! If anyone can hear me, my starship has been pulled into the anomaly. I find myself in a strange new world. It is a world with no sun, no stars. It is a world of anime. Comics. Here we go! Gaming. Movie. This world is the Rogue Planets. With your host, the Fat Mantis HD. Hello and welcome to Rogue Planet. I am your host, the Fat Mantis, now in HD. And we are discussing The Last of Us. As we know, the hit video game has been adapted into an HBO series, and there's been an argument whether this is the most genius series ever adapted or possibly the worst. And we're going to talk about it. And of course, tonight I have the guest who clearly doesn't think that, Gray Winthrop, coming off of her hit show, Grim Inquiries, experience that everyone needs to listen to. How are you, Gray?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Mantis.
It's always a pleasure to have you. You know, you're one of my favorite creators. We've got Auntie Cat up in here saying she loves the music. I started watching it, actually. That's what I like to hear. We've got Heavy Rain said, I saw The Last of Us as your title and had to join. I'm a huge fan of the games and the show. Absolutely. Rebuke TV in the house. Hollage boy. And I'm sure we got more people coming through. A world of anime. That's right, Auntie Cat. Rogue Planet is a world of anime. So how are you, Gray?
I'm good. I really enjoyed this finale, Last of Us.
Yeah, no, I absolutely did. And so to answer your question, Auntie Cat, unfortunately, we are going to be getting into spoilers. We pretty much have to, because a bulk of our conversation is going to be about, particularly the finale, right? I think the finale hit us in ways that, yeah, we just got to go into it. So that is a warning, Auntie Cat. Although we love having you here, it is Spoiler Town. Before we get any further, I would love it if you guys liked this video, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and remember to leave a comment. We love comments on videos. It's like the greatest thing that could happen to the Fat Mantis, other than carrots and hummus. Rogue Radio in the house and said, I did play a little of the game. Okay. Yeah. So now that everyone has been warned that there's going to be spoilers, what do you have to say about this, Gray?
So there were I will say that I played the game probably because it came out in, let's put this in perspective. The Last of Us game came out in 2013, so 10 years ago. Right. And I heard all the hype, but I am the last to everything console. So I didn't get a PS4 for like probably another 5 years after, like I'm saying, like probably 2018 is when I played it. I played that and like some games like Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, a bunch of games that other people had already played,
Wait a minute.
I was playing them at that time.
Is Heavy Rain in our chat named after the video game Heavy Rain?
Probably.
That's so funny. Yeah, her name is Heavy Rain 2035, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So I basically bought a PS4 in order to play all the Sony exclusives, and then I gave my PS4 away because I'm a PC gamer. So like The Last of Us. I
had to let everyone know that you're a PC gamer, right?
Of course I am, because I'm PC master race. But yeah, so I had heard spoilers already because I, as you know, love spoilers. I am immune to spoilers. I thrive on spoilers. So I had heard some of the controversy, and not real controversy about the first game, but it was like kind of whining. Like people are debating. Not, I don't want to say whining, debating about how the the last part of the game was implemented.
Mm.
And so when I came to the show, getting back to the show, this is what I was thinking about the whole time, because I was like, everything hinges on how they execute that last part of the show, that last
Yeah.
episode. And they did it so well. Um, as I told you, when I immediately after I finished the episode, I feel like that was a beautiful ending, and I don't want them to do anything else, because that was such a perfect ending to Ellie and Joel's story, you know?
Yeah, no, I
I
feel
know they're going to do Last of Us 2, but they have to, because they're very popular.
yeah,
The
I
HBO
honestly
wants
I
money.
do love the finale, and I really do think that should be the finale of the whole story, and it should just be a limited series. And why ruin a good thing? Going further, they could only ruin it, right?
Right.
Rogue Radio says, I'm not familiar with the show though. What app is it on? It's on HBO Max or HBO proper, right? So I gotta say this, and this is an interesting thing that happened to me when I was editing the intro for tonight's show. I like to do the 5-minute countdown, and I sometimes do a poster for what we're doing it about. And so I was like, what music is appropriate of this picture of Ellie sitting alone in a prison cell, which is really a house out. And so I figured, I was like, well, this is a horror game. It's zombies or whatever. And so I put on horror music and I was doing this quick before we start our thing. And the thing is that after I edited it, I realized it was like, but this isn't a horror story.
Yeah.
It's not a horror story at all. It's actually a hardcore drama.
Yeah.
It's almost like the zombies, or at least here's what I'm saying. Those zombies, or should I say the infected, for those who are sensitive about details,
Yeah.
are more prevalent in the video game.
Yeah, of
Because you have
course.
to fight through them in every board. Every board, there's some sort of infected situation. But it's almost like they made a show only of the cutscenes. And if you watch only the cutscenes, very little of it has to do with zombies.
Right.
Yeah. Hello, Juan Pablo. How are you, buddy?
That was actually fun. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was actually thinking about how throughout the series, one of the things that differs from the game is that Joel, he's like 56 in the show. And I don't know if he's specifically 56 in the game, but in the game, he is a killing machine, obviously, because you are playing Joel. He has to be a killing machine in order to survive. In the show, he can barely go up flights of stairs. He's got a bad knee. He's hard of hearing in one ear. So like his age is, and like the apocalypse is getting to him. But in that last episode, I was like, oh, he's got cutscene immunity. He's got cutscene superpowers.
Yes. Yes, he has cutscene. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because you're right. There is an action sequence. I mean, spoilers are here, guys. We're dealing with spoilers.
We're talking about the last episode first, so we have to do that.
When he does this solo man massacre,
it's
super unrealistic. It's very video game, right?
Right. Yeah.
Even the way he gets out, like there are soldiers who have him dead to rights. They've got guns on him. There's like nothing could go wrong, but he's like a one-man killing machine. So he's able to disarm them, kill them both.
Yeah.
And then take out a whole compound. Right?
Right.
Right. You know what it is? It's so satisfying. And I think we're about to talk. I assume we're going to get into this.
Yeah.
The ethical question about the finale.
Right.
But for me, from where I sit ethically, I found it was satisfying that he was murdering these guys. I mean,
okay, so we'll get into my theory about
Bex, welcome in.
What that led to later. But so first off, I'll say, when I mentioned that there was a debate about the ending of the video game, the people were upset that they didn't have a choice. You had to do what Joel would do. But I feel like throughout the game, you're doing what Joel would do. You can't kill Ellie and just go off and be the king of the, apocalypse,
So, however,
Yeah.
I would say that there should be a little KOTOR in it that, like, you should have the option of doing both. But for the sequel, they'll be like, well, we're going by what Joel would have done, not what your evil ass would have
Right. That's a
done.
lot. Video games do that often.
Yeah, they always say
Yeah.
there was a choice and we know what choice we wanted. But they should give you the choice because that's what kind of video games have become.
Right.
Right. And so
Right.
that's
I think that would have been interesting if you were able. Okay, so for those, spoiler alert, let's just say it. For those who haven't seen the episode or haven't played the game. So as you probably know if you're watching, The Last of Us is about Joel Joel Miller living in the apocalypse, a post-apocalyptic America. And the apocalypse occurred when people were infected with this fungi virus that turned him into cordyceps mushroom zombies.
AKA zombies.
Right.
Okay.
And so there's a 13, is she 14? I don't remember. But anyway, there's a teenage girl named Ellie.
She's too young to be hanging out with this guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. It's problematic, right? It's Twitter.
Totally problematic.
But a young girl who is immune to the cordyceps infection. Yeah. She's already been bitten and she is not turned. So she is infected, but she is not turning into a zombie. So her basically her godmother is one of the leaders of this resistance movement, the Fireflies. And she asked Joel to get Ellie to a group of Fireflies that are going to take her across the country where she can provide the cure, or hopefully provide a cure for this for the infection. Right? So Joel goes with his partner Tess to drop Ellie off with the other group of Fireflies who are going to escort her across the country. They're all infected. They're all dead. So now, and then Tess gets infected. She dies. Now it's just up to Joel to get her across the country and get her to the doctors who are going to extract a cure from Ellie. And so, it's never discussed how they would get this cure. But in the last episode, Joel figures out that they're going to take her brain out and get the cure from her brain. Mm-hmm. So he decides that he does not want Ellie to die for the cure, and he kills everyone in the hospital, and he kills all the Fireflies.
You get to see a really satisfying scene of him, like, with an assault rifle going through. Oh my God! Now that I'm describing it, it sounds like something that happens in our world, right? Going through a hospital, just killing all the Fireflies, like killing all the people, the soldier or civilian. Well, none of them are civilians, but they all have blood on their hands. And so he massacres them all, and then he steals her Ellie back. And when she wakes up, he lies to her. He's like, "There's no cure. They couldn't do it. But we got attacked, raiders, and I got us out of there." And so that she would forget an idea of trying to save humanity. And what's interesting is that she seems disappointed. She seems sad that she doesn't get to save the world.
Right, but she didn't know that she would have to die.
I have a feeling she would have wanted to die, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. They didn't give her a choice, but Joel didn't give her a choice either. So that's an interesting
I mean, that's just like a teenage daughter to get mad at you for letting her live or something, right? Like the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah. But so I remember right after the episode, you called me and you were like, "Well, what would you do?" And I was like, "Let's save it for the show."
Yes. Because you said ahead of time, tell them what you said before. And
I used to be very pro. I used to be very, very pro him
murdering
Ellie. And however, I have explained why I feel this way, right? Mm-hmm. So at the start of this, because here's what it is. It's supposed to be a shock to people that when you get to the hospital, they're like, "Oh, by the way, we may have to kill her for the cure. Or we're going to kill her for the cure." But in the beginning, I already know how science works. They are going to probably have to kill her. Here's what I'm saying. If they do all the tests that they can that isn't going to extract a cure, they will then kill the subject and dissect them until they get a cure.
Right.
That's how it has to work. They're not going to stop at killing her. So I knew there was a possibility, and knowing that, I would not have bonded with the subject. His job was, as a mercenary, to take her across the country and get her to a place. I would keep distance from her.
Yeah, but that's impossible.
Right. Now, welcome in a Shaolin Iceboxer, the man. Shaolin, thank you. He sent me a present. I haven't received it yet, but thank you so much. It's a gift for the streams and for the shows and to keep us going. And when they arrive, I'm going to show them off so the world can see how awesome he is. But thank you, brother. Thank you. So here's the thing. If I could keep a distance from her,
Mm-hmm.
I would have handed her over and been like, society will live again. However, because he bonded with her and she was the daughter he never had.
He did have her, though. He did have Sarah. He did have a daughter.
No, but he never got to have one that grew up.
Right.
She is now the daughter that he never had because his daughter ended her life at whatever age she was at. So I would definitely kill the Fireflies. I would have murdered everybody and just lived a happy apocalypse together.
Right. And I mean, he already had said that remember when they were going to Kansas City, and she said, you don't have any hope for like what comes after. He says, no, and she's like, so why are you still alive? And he said, for family. Remember? So
Right.
yeah, like his only purpose in the beginning was to get to Tommy, right?
Right.
Because that's his family. He did not give a crap about anybody else. Of course he already cared about Ellie, but we're gonna pretend that he's a tough guy. Joel, from the very beginning, cared about Ellie.
And that poor woman dies thinking that he loved her, or not sure if he loved her.
Yeah, that was the Tess story is very sad.
Yeah.
She was his partner for 20 years.
Yeah, that whole thing, and that he's emotionless. He's like a total emotionless.
Yeah.
For you ladies, he's a typical male. Never opens up.
No, he's he's the wooby. He's emotionally hurt, and he says he can never love again. But Tess is right there, being like, I can fix him. That's what it is. That's what.
Oh, right. Well, chicks dig that.
Yeah.
Like every one of my girlfriends thought they could fix.
Let's be real.
They were wrong.
In this universe, Thandie Newton probably died many years ago, tragically.
You think that Thandie Newton was the wife?
I mean, she had to be. That's my
right. That she has such a distinct look.
Right.
That only she could produce that child.
Right.
So the question is, you haven't answered yet. What do you think is the right answer?
Oh, let me just tell you. Okay, so in the game, it did not occur to me. I mean, even though I had seen the online arguments earlier about how, I wish that I had been able to sell Ellie to them, blah blah blah. I was like, this isn't Fallout, buddies. This is a linear game, just like Uncharted. Naughty Dog doesn't do open world sandbox games like Bethesda or other companies, right? So
one of their many faults.
I was cool with it, and I did feel like it was a satisfying ending. However, when I feel more emotionally attached to this version of Ellie, I have to say, and I was like, yeah, get him this time, as opposed to I feel like probably because when you're in a video game, you're thinking more about, okay, I gotta get this guy in, I gotta get this one. You're like thinking about the actions of the video game as opposed to thinking about the emotions of the moment. So for me, it was more emotional to see this happening.
Well, what it is when somebody is an armchair, whatever, armchair hero, armchair character, they never ever answer really what they would do. There's a million nerds out here who played the game who'd be like, I totally sell the girl. Yeah, right. You don't have any friends. This is probably the first friend you got. You don't tell me you're going to sell her.
Right. So here's my other thing, though. We don't know this doctor at all. This doctor could be a hack. He could be a veterinarian for all we know, and they're trusting him to cut open the only non-infected person's brain and cure them. He could just destroy her brain and they'd be back to square one.
That's another thing. So I think what's funny is I think it was Heavy Spoilers, and he went in, he made a video about it talking about what was right and what was wrong. Yeah. What decision was right or wrong. And the problem that I have with that is that there is no right and there is no wrong. That's what makes this a dilemma.
Yeah.
There's no one who gives an answer, no matter what their answer is doing the right thing.
Well, because we can't tell them. We can't predict the future. We couldn't tell you whether or not it's
right. You can't tell because some people always say they're like, but if the Fireflies had it, they'd become oppressive like Fedra and they do all these other things. You're right. I mean, maybe we don't really know, or maybe they would give it away for free and we'd live another century, millennium or something. I really don't know what the answer is, but I know what was right for Joel, and I approve of what was right for him, which is murdering, which is what he understands. It's the only gift he can give a young girl is murder on her behalf, right?
Well, he's a contractor, and people like contractors.
Oh yeah, in the old world, they like contractors.
Everybody loves contractors.
But in the new world, they're scum to be robbed. But we're definitely gonna in a minute talk about who the doctor is. Mm-hmm. And what sparked what, and I'll tell you why the people who created the game are idiots, and why they're bad people, and why they don't know how to tell a story.
Okay.
But do you have any other final thoughts on the finale?
Like I said, I was also really looking forward to the giraffe scene. I thought that was very well done.
I love that they actually did the giraffe scene.
Yeah, a real giraffe. That was great. Giraffes are weird looking, aren't they? I'm trying to think what else. Was there anything else major? Sad that Marlene had to die. But it is what it is. And also, he did what everybody who knows what happens in Last of Us Part 2 says. But in my playthrough, I killed everybody. There were no witnesses. How do they know that Joel Miller was the one who killed that doctor? Right?
Okay, so
and I'm like, he did kill everybody. There's no witnesses. How do they know that Joel Miller killed?
And in the show, they made sure to keep 2 witnesses, which I would have definitely done away with.
Who did he not kill?
In the show, there are 2 nurses right there that he leaves.
Oh,
in the game, there aren't nurses, but in this, there
are. Right. Because that is the thing. People whined about the and I felt it too. If you kill everybody, how do they track you down? Yeah.
Well, it's almost like the whole thing with the preacher or whatever. Where he's just like he runs into Ellie. Mm-hmm. This was last episode.
Yeah.
He runs into Ellie and then he's talking to her and he's just like, God does everything for a reason. Like, for instance, I sent 4 men out and one of them got killed. Yeah. And it was a man with a little girl. And I'm like, how does he know that she's with a man or a dad? How did he run into her? How is this a coincidence? It doesn't make any sense. In the real apocalypse, that would never happen. In the real apocalypse, you would never accidentally run into somebody. You're like, you run into somebody, you're like, wait a minute, you killed my father. And you're like, wow, what a weird coincidence. That would never happen. Right?
Well, maybe they've been tracking them and they didn't actually mention it.
Often. You know what the problem with, particularly with the series, the video game does apocalypse better, but the series really makes it not very apocalyptic. Almost every society they run into is a functional working society.
Well, the Christians are about to die because
of course, because the creators of it hate Christians, so obviously but that's what I'm saying. They're the only society suffering. Everyone else has it. No.
I will say though, Kansas City breaks down. Pittsburgh had already broken down. There was too much order. There was too much order. It wasn't the apocalypse. A lot of the zones are falling apart.
They say it's the Last of Us. No, it isn't. There's functioning societies. There's multiple functioning societies in this world. It's not
I
like The
know, but
Walking
I'm
Dead where
saying
every
though,
institution is destroyed.
right. But I'm saying it's because supposedly Fedra has these zones, these DZs or whatever. But you see them falling, like I said, like what's his name? The Frank, I think his name was.
Mm-hmm.
He was from Pittsburgh, and that had just fallen. Kansas City DZ falls because of the rebellion, because of Melanie Lewinsky and her quest for revenge. So yeah,
Everyone's got a
like
quest for revenge in the show.
yeah.
Uh,
And we're gonna talk about that too, and how you know what? Like before the end of the show, I was getting kind of tired of everybody's quest for revenge
Everyone's
and
revenge.
beating us over the head with that message.
Yeah, it's so lame.
Hurting people is a cycle, and it's bad. In case you didn't know.
Okay, so that's what they decided to say. That's what they publicly said the second game was about. And that's why they're fucking idiots. No offense. Actually, yes offense to people who like it. Yes offense to everyone who like is into the nonsense that they spewed. They told a good story in the first one. And so at the end of the story, what is Joel faced with? Joel is faced with this. It's Ellie versus the rest of the world. And what the game, the travel, the adventure they had gone on showed us what Joel thought of the human race. What is the human race? They're greedy, they're conniving, they're murderous. They'll attack you before they say hi to you. They won't work together. They're fractionalized animals.
Yes.
All they do is destroy. So
except for Tommy and Maria's communist society.
Right. But I'm saying but for the most part, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Or actually, you could even argue they're savages too, because the way they keep people out of their society.
Oh yeah, they like set it up to make it look like they're savages. They scare people away.
Perfect example is that old Native American couple. They are scared they could be in communist glory right now. Instead, they're dying out in a cabin because they're too scared to go up there.
Right.
That's a product of the evil of Tommy and all of them. But what I'm saying is he has that in one hand, or there's Ellie, who's sweet and innocent, has not really hurt anybody.
Right.
So that explains why he massacres them. That explains why he's letting humanity die. Because the video game taught us this. It's a very great story. So at its basis, it's a great story. However, that great story has come to its end now.
Right. I believe that he had no faith in humanity from the time that Sarah died. He tells her that he tried to kill himself the day after Sarah died, right? So from the very beginning of the apocalypse, he was ready to give up, and so basically Ellie is the first time that he has hope since the beginning. At least to like a reason for living.
So real quick, Serge says, I have no idea what you're talking about. Hello, Serge. We're talking about the show and also video game The Last of Us, particularly the finale. The first season, which you can see on HBO or HBO Max, has come to its conclusion, and there's a big ethical question at the end, something the main character does. And we're discussing that. I hope you're having a very good Wednesday, and thank you for choosing Rogue Planets to be the live stream you're hanging out in. So where I think they go wrong as a story, right, is that we move on to the second one, and that's where they bring up this cycle of pain and hurt, right? They're like, it's a cycle of violence. This is bullshit because they force Joel to make the only moves someone would make. They force the violence on him. And I'll give you an example. Even in the show, he goes to take Ellie, and the doctor who's going to cause all the revenge storyline even says, I'm not letting you take her. He is a sick doctor who's willing to hurt a little girl. Any human would kill him. And then they punish the main character for doing what anyone would do. That's torture porn. That's not a wise. They're not being wise. They're not being clever. It's just torture porn. And
Well,
that's why I'm glad that the second one didn't do as good, and that they can go fuck themselves.
so here's the thing. I feel like we already got the whole idea of circle of, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that wasn't a deep enough or an interesting enough theme to keep us going for the entire game for Last of Us 2.
Especially 2 games, right?
Right. For 2 in the second game, it just feels like Ellie is just so bitter. She's so angry. But it's just like it hurts because she's got Dina, right? She's got Dina's baby, spoiler alert, but this is a game that came out many years ago.
Shaolin says I agree 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
so like I feel like there were elements there. Here's the thing. I really do like The Last of Us. And I one of the things I liked about that first game was that it set itself apart from something like The Walking Dead in that there was hope. Ellie represents hope. But Neil Druckmann decided to just completely forget about the fact that she's unable to be infected in the second game. And he just had this idea. It's like, what if Ellie was just so mad because somebody killed Joel, spoiler alert, and then, but it turns out that the person who killed Joel was mad because Joel killed her dad. And I'm like, that's not a full game. Maybe make that one boss in a game where Ellie has to deal as an adult with the fact that she has this superpower basically that nobody else has, and her guilt and what she can do to save her. She has a family now. She has a community of people who love her. It doesn't make sense to me that she is so angry at Joel at first and then at Abby later, that she is willing to sacrifice everything else in order to get her revenge. And considering the fact that she's got this superpower, it just really sucks that they just ignored it. It's mind-boggling to me, actually.
Shaolin Icebox says The Last of Us 2 puke emoji.
And let me just say, for people who I know there are people out there who do like it. That's fine and everything, but I do think that there is some merit to the fact. I mean, it's not just people mad that Abby wasn't hot or that there's trans character in it. I think that there were people who were genuinely upset that A, Joel was killed in such a trivial manner, B, that Ellie was just an angry asshole the entire game.
Character, definitely,
right?
Absolutely.
And C, this obvious plot that everybody thought it was going to be about was completely thrown away for no good reason. I'm sorry, but if you have the key to this MacGuffin, which is the cure, and then the first game is about the key to the MacGuffin. In the second game, it should not be about something completely else other than the MacGuffin.
Here's the thing, though. I can see her going on her crazy little side quest.
Yeah.
And becoming a maniac and wanting revenge. As long as this is trilogy formula.
Yeah.
As long as there is a third one where she sees the error of her ways. The second one actually impacts the importance of the story, and she goes back to saving humanity. That could be an arc. One could argue that's an arc. But then they chose not to make any more.
Yeah, I don't think they are.
So, I'll put it like this. I feel like it's like the original Legend of Zelda. You play the original Legend of Zelda, and you're after Ganondorf, the evil thief king who gained the superpowers and became the Lord of the Dark Realms, right? Kidnapping Zelda, right? What a scumbag. After the Triforce. At the end of the game, you kill him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you opened up the next Chronicles, The Adventures of Link, and the first thing they do is torture porn and have Link killed. And they say the reason he's killed is because he killed Ganon in the last game. You would feel completely fucked with. That you're
Ganon's daughter is after.
Yeah, they're like, you made me hate Ganon. You made Ganon is evil and had to be put down. And so, and now you're punishing Link for doing his job as an Elven Ranger. You know?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody. I mean, I feel like they bashed us over the head. Like, for instance, I told you about this. The dogs in The Last of Us 2. So while you're playing as Ellie, you kill because you're trying to infiltrate Abby's base.
I remember.
You kill tons of dogs, right? Then later you're playing as Abby, and those dogs are your pets, and you love them, and you get to know their names because this is you're playing a section that's before Ellie killed them all.
So heavy-handed.
So like the person playing this video game is supposed to be like, what? I just killed Rover? Oh my God, killing is bad. You know, no, we're still playing this video game. We're still gonna kill indiscriminately.
Right.
This story is kind of like lame, honestly. The way they're bashing our head in with this moral. You know, I have a kitten right here who's looking at me, and this kitten, when she first came to my house, scratched me up and bit me, but then my adult cat started playing with her, and she discovered that getting scratched and bit hurts, so she doesn't scratch and bite me anymore. So if this kitten can understand, I'm looking at the kitten right now, if this kitten can understand that scratching and biting causes a cycle of scratching and biting, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we get it.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
I'm talking about the cycle of violence.
I know what I know. I'm kidding. You were about as subtle as the game were.
That's the game.
So there were these questions of like, can she be forgiven? And so this is what creates a prediction problem for the season 2 of this, right?
Right.
This has been a beautiful story. I can't watch season 2 anymore.
Well,
because I can't watch that. I can't watch that premiere. I cannot watch this happen again.
They say that, okay, so I did see them because they're not stupid. HBO is going to give them money. This is their biggest show other than House of Dragons, the Dragon right now. They are not going to want them to just do one extra season and go.
Right.
You know, they're going to want to stretch it out to at least 3, probably more if they can help it. And they do know that Pedro Pascal is a big draw. So I'm guessing they're going to, in season 2, make it about Joel and Ellie for a while more before Abby comes into the mix. I would be shocked if they just let Pedro Pascal go that easily.
And a problem that I'm having with it all, with the whole scene and all this stuff, is like, it's literally torture. It's traumatic to have to sit through and watch that happen to Joel, and now they want to do it to us again. It's people who find that entertaining. People are like, yo, Last of Us 2 is the best game, and I know somebody like that. And this person has a lot of, I love them, they're a great person, but they have a lot of deep-rooted psychological issues. They probably like being abused. But that's what it is. Somebody who is in that, it's probably one of those girls who likes getting beat by her boyfriend or likes being abused.
Man,
because only a sick pervert would want to watch season 2.
I would like to see what happens if it's not about the game.
So you're saying that you think that it is a possibility that they are going to,
not that they're going to change the story, but there are years between the first game and the second game.
Right.
So I hope that they're going to make this about the years in between. They changed enough of this that I don't think they'll be adverse to, adding new stories of Joel and Ellie together, Yeah. So, and there's enough to do. I mean, they're like, once again, maybe they'll deal with the ethical question of like Ellie finding out that she is still the cure, And
I mean, basically, like Game of Thrones, they are gonna have to end it somehow.
Right.
And so they can end it on this note, or they can end it years later. but they're gonna have to, even though the Game of Thrones novels doesn't have an ending, and no offense, probably won't.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Yeah.
Dan and Dave had to, of course. They ended it like morons. They were really not good at what they did. And
I told you years ahead. Didn't I tell you years before the show ended? Whenever D&D deviate from the source material, the show sucked. Didn't I not tell you that? I did.
I mean, that's a discussion for another topic because I'd have to relook at everything they changed.
Okay.
They certainly did in like season 4 and 5. Yeah, no, there was some bad stuff there, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
The creators of this are going to have to give it an ending if the Last of Us video game series doesn't continue.
Yes.
And so they they're probably going to revisit the fact that she is the cure and that she's going to have to make something happen.
Yeah.
The question is, and I think I already brought this up, but I'm going to bring it up again. Question is, does humanity deserve to go on? Look at the very title. It's a jarring indictment. It's a scathing indictment. Humanity. It's like somebody's looking and is like, this is the last of us. Look how disgusting they are. Should humanity be saved? That's the question. What do you think?
That's a good question. That is a good question. I do. Okay, so here's the thing. I think it's like all apocalyptic fiction. And you know what I'm about to bring up because you know me well enough. I'm going to bring up Hugh Laurie's Tomorrowland speech. Okay? Let me actually
do it. I love that. I actually love that.
Okay, so I'm going to actually pull this up because I always refer to it, but I don't actually usually say it myself. So I want to. Okay, so if for those who are not familiar, there was a Disney movie about Tomorrowland and Disneyland and Disney World that has nothing to do with the theme parks. It was a movie in 2015, apparently. I'm looking it up right now. That was basically a very weird movie about elitism. It was like what if all the greatest minds in the world had come together and built this secret utopia, but didn't share it with all the little people? Seriously, this is what it's about. And it had decayed because the elitists didn't share it with the little people over time. And so this girl somehow breaks into the Tomorrowland, and Hugh Laurie is the evil dictator of Tomorrowland. And it turns out that he has been basically sending out subliminal messages through television and movies and stuff, basically sending messages of apathy to the regular people. Why is he doing this? Because he's evil and he doesn't want the regular people to find Tomorrowland, even though it's decaying. It doesn't make sense, but that's the plot of this movie. That's why you don't know about it, probably because it's not that great, right? But
it was definitely a thirst trap. It was a thirst trap movie. And I don't mean in a literal sense, but I'm saying there was a lot of hype around this movie. People should at least know the advertising campaign and kind of remember. It was George Clooney's return to film.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons why people were talking about this movie that summer.
Yeah, it was a very strange, because here's the thing. I love Damon Lindelof, and he did apparently he wrote the story, but Brad Bird of Pixar wrote the screenplay. Right. So I feel like there might be something lost in translation, or maybe they had some like edits to it, because it is like a kind of confusing, and honestly they don't solve the main problem I had with the movie, is that in order to keep a utopia, you can't let everybody in. And they do start letting new people in, but they once again are only letting the people they choose to come in. So elitism continues to be the major theme of this utopia. It's a very strange film. So wait 1 second. Okay, so here we go. The evil Nix. And a villain is evil when his name is Nix. Um, played by Hugh Laurie.
It sounds like some devil shit, definitely.
Right. He has just admitted that he is sowing the seeds of apathy amongst the mundane, the muggles.
Okay.
Right?
Have you actually found it?
Yes. Okay. So what if there was a way of skipping the middleman and putting the critical news directly in everyone's head? Basically saying that there's going to be an apocalypse, right? The probability of widespread annihilation kept going up. So basically what he's saying is, at first, he was trying to warn people that if they continued the way they did, that humanity was going to die.
Yeah, just read it.
Right. Okay.
Stop stopping and just read the damn thing.
Okay. The probability of widespread annihilation kept going up. The only way to stop that was to show it, to scare people straight, because what reasonable human being wouldn't be galvanized by the potential destruction of everything they've known or loved? To save civilization, I would show its collapse. But how do you think this vision was received? How do you think people responded to the prospect of imminent doom? They gobbled it up like a chocolate eclair. They didn't fear their demise, they repackaged it. It could be enjoyed as video games, as TV shows, books, movies. The entire world wholeheartedly embraced the apocalypse and splinted towards it with gleeful abandon. Meanwhile, your earth was crumbling all around you. You got simultaneous epidemics, and this is before the pandemic, of obesity and starvation. Explain that one. Bees and butterflies started to disappear. The glaciers melt, algae blooms. All around you, the coal mine canaries are dropping dead, and you won't take the hint. And every moment, there's the possibility of a better future. You people won't believe it. And because you won't believe it, you won't do what's necessary to make it a reality. So you dwell on this terrible future. You resign yourself to it for one reason, because that future does not ask anything of you today. So yes, we saw the iceberg and warned the Titanic, but you all steered it for it anyway, full steam ahead. Why? Because you want to sink. You gave up. That's not the monitor's fault. That's yours. So yeah, that's the monologue that I always think of. I think that's an amazing monologue in a mediocre movie. That is a direct critique by David Lindelof, probably not Brad Bird, of our society's love of apocalypse fiction, while our Earth kind of sucks,
Right.
So yeah, like that. Going back to your question, is humanity worth saving? I think that we in general don't think we're worth saving, and that's a pretty bad thing,
I mean, what are your feelings on it?
I'll tell you right now. That's I have hope for the future, but I'm not doing anything in my own life to help people. I watch my communist buddy Hasanabi every day on Twitch, but does that actually make the world better? That I'm actually watching
worse. It makes it worse because of the filth he puts into the world.
Right, the communist ideas that he spreads. Right?
Damn fucking.
But the fact that you think that communism is bad, we could talk about that another day.
Yeah, I saw one of your ridiculous your things where you're like, if Jesus's way was done, it would look like communism. No, it wouldn't.
We're gonna have to talk about your Republican Jesus one day. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not get into it. I disagree wholeheartedly. That's why I retweeted that tweet. But here's the thing: me retweeting that tweet doesn't do anything, and I fully accept that. Just like your retweets don't do anything.
That's why I don't put activism in my tweets. I have dick jokes, and I talk about robots, talk about Transformers.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: what are we doing as a society to make the world a better place? Like for instance, yeah, we are not doing anything. You see that Willow project that just got approved by Biden, who said he was going to not do that in his
What is it? What's the project?
Willow Project is drilling for oil in Native American land. He swore that he wouldn't do that.
And I know like we're into politics at this point, but like the truth is, we all know, because the fact of the matter is Democrats are not actually environmentalists. It's a complete lie. What it is basically like the Republicans are like, we want nothing done about the environment. And the Democrats are like, we want very little done. And because very little is way more than nothing, it makes them look like they're environmentalists. But the truth of the matter is they're always going to use up. Anyone who's in power we're going to use up our fossil fuels. There's no point where we're going to stop using fossil fuels and move on to the next thing. We're going to use those out. We're going to ride till the wheels fall off.
I agree.
But did you see your girl Greta?
No, what happened to her?
People caught her. She deleted a tweet 5 years ago that said we only had 5 years to live because of climate change.
But how old was she? Was she like 13?
But
5 years
still,
ago?
what it is we're making fun of the alarmism of it. That the AOCs and her in the world like, we have 3 years to live. Like, calm down.
She probably saw something that made her think that. Okay,
I'm saying because the AOC, I feel like AOC said something like that similar. People say, I think Al Gore says it too.
She did. To be fair, probably 5 years ago, she said something like 12 years. There's like an environmental clock. That had 12 years.
12 years, and I'm like, give me a break.
Well, we'll see in less than 12 years now. We'll see in like 8 years.
Well, I'll tell you this: every futurist has been wrong.
Yeah.
In the history of futurists, they've always been wrong. If you look at futurists from the 60s, they believed that we would be out of fossil fuels by the year 2000 and that we would be going to war over water. Right.
Remember Waterworld?
Yeah, remember Waterworld? And I'm just saying, every time when people are like, I consulted this great scientific futurist, they're all just guessing. They're Elon Musk throwing darts at a board. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, but when you do see glacier caps melting, that is somewhat alarming. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I'm not arguing ever, because I am an environmentalist. I'm not ever arguing that we shouldn't do anything. But alarmism is not an appropriate response either. Saying we have 12 years when we clearly have way more than that is and everyone trying to predict like how the future is going to go. We don't know. We know we're doing damage, but we have no idea what tomorrow holds.
Well, we should be doing more. Here's getting back to the point. Is humanity worthy of saving? We shouldn't be doing things like this Willow Project, especially a president who said they wouldn't, especially knowing that it will do extra harm. Instead of, we should be trying to get to a point where we are not dependent on fossil fuels.
So would you save the planet? Would you save humanity? Fuck the planet. Humanity.
Right. Here's the thing. I feel like, all right, if it were my son, I wouldn't be able to give up my son. But I feel like the Fireflies did not prove to Joel that they were actually going to save humanity. This is just some guy, as far as he knows, this is just some guy with a scalpel, who's going to cut up Ellie's brain. But, when you're in the moment, I don't know if I ever told you this story. I probably did. But one time when Mateo, my son, I just said his name, but it doesn't matter. Yes, my son, Mateo. When he was a baby, I was in the subway in New York City, and I had him in a baby Bjorn strapped to my chest.
Okay.
Right? And yes, and usually I would have him towards me, but it was a hot day, and I had him facing outward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just doing my thing on the one line on 14th Street, and some young man walks up to us, and he says, "What a cute baby!" And he pinches my son's cheek.
Oh,
and
wow.
I flip out. And here's the thing. I was not thinking at all. I flipped the F out, Mantis. The kid just starts walking away because I was like, what? You don't pinch a baby's cheek. I don't know you. My son doesn't know you. And I'm holding him like this. And the kid's like, oh, what? And he laughs. And I'm like, don't laugh. That's not funny. And people are alarmed because they think that this guy just hit a baby or something. Right. So they are just like, what?
You should have been like, he's attacking my son. Get him.
Right. So he had headphones in that had wires. And I pulled the headphone off his ears.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
To get away. No, I didn't. I here's the thing. I was not in my right mind, Mantis. I was in baby mama protective mode. And my son was probably like 6 months old at this point. And like thinking about it afterwards, that could have been a dangerous altercation with a stranger. Because yes, this teenager seemed kind of goofy, but I don't know him. I'm on the subway track. I mean, this kid could have put me in the subway.
He shouldn't have touched your kid. I mean,
right. But I flipped the F out. And this is my point, that Joel was thinking like a parent in that moment. As soon as he found out that, and yes, you are right, Mantis, that he should have thought about ahead of time. Like, how are they going to get this cure? The cordyceps develop in the brain. Are they going to try to extract it from her brain? But he did not think about that at all, you know?
Yeah. Because he knew that. He knew that knowledge. He's the one who says it in the episode.
Yeah, but you know what? Like beforehand, he probably thought they were going to just draw some blood, you know, and like take some tap.
I mean, it's so ignorant. It's crazy.
For
all he knows, they need a spinal tap. For all they know, they need bone marrow. For all he knows, they need a lot of bone marrow.
Right.
To make a cure.
Yeah, so he was not thinking like a logical person. And I understand that. That's my point. Is that I totally understand when someone is threatening your child, that you just are like, I have to eliminate this threat. Get the fuck away from my kid.
Right.
You know?
Right. I dig it.
Yeah.
You know, so for the next season, so here's what's going on. They have already publicly said they're not going to recast Bella Ramsey.
Right.
Which honestly, we would notice. That would be too weird, right?
Yeah.
It is, you know, theory crafting, and I think you brought this up, and I think it's probably true. They are probably going to do actually show the adventures between the years that she finds out.
Right.
Instead of jumping several years when she's like older.
Right.
So,
yeah,
maybe I'm willing to keep watching. I don't know, you know.
So here's my thing about that. I was actually thinking about this today. The fact that Abby is this tough chick, and I'm like, why did she have to be a woman? Why did they have to change the doctor from black to white? You know, like they made these very conscious choices. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I think about it too. It's like, was he trying to say something about, like, you know, it's not about masculinity or femininity. It's a human, you know, thing, this need for violence, you know, the fact that the doctor didn't have a son, you know, he had a daughter, and she just happened to be this buff, angry chick, you know.
Well, that was clearly about girl power. That was clearly feminist rage, and so
this is a man writing it. I mean, it's just I do have to.
However, had his writing checked with Anita Sarkeesian.
Yeah, supposedly he said that.
Yeah, he went and he was like, "What do you think of these notes? Why don't you take notes? Why don't you help me with it?" So she helped him with the story because he was trying to be a more conscious woke gamer.
Right.
And so
you're right. She may have had some.
I'm sure she was like, "Yo, let a woman. Why don't you let a woman drive? Why don't you let a woman kill a man?" And he's like, I guess that's feminism. I guess
you know what?
Feminism. Fucking asshole.
In the original game, in the original Last of Us, before they remastered it, the doctor was black.
Yeah.
In the original. And what if it was Ellie versus a black man? Would they have made it the same way? You know? What if, you know, the black doctor had a son, you know? Like,
right.
But he didn't want to tell that story. He wanted to tell this story of basically a mirror of Ellie.
Because also because cis white, you know, white cis males ruin everything, right? Hello, Lainey. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream.
Hi, Lainey. Yeah. So it's just interesting to think about how he did this and why he made the choices he made, because I feel like it's a very deliberate story, but it's, to me at least, I know other people like it. To me at least, it is not a satisfying story because revenge is bad is a very played out, is very
We had
simplistic
learned
plot.
that halfway through the first one. We didn't need
Yeah,
derailing the story in the second one.
yeah. They could have had it as a subplot. They could have had it as a theme within the overarching story, but to make everything about revenge is bad when, I'm sorry, Jack, I feel like Ellie was so much more of a likable, empathic character in the first one, and in the second one, you see that she has so many people around her who care about her, and she just is this bitter dick because they want to make her Abby. You know, they want her and Abby to be the same. So I feel like they nerfed her in the second game, emotionally.
Oh yeah, so they absolutely did. They totally
Yeah.
freaking did.
So we'll see how it plays out in the show.
Yeah. But anyway, so you're saying you're excited to see season 3. Yo, Lainey, did you actually see The Last of Us? Please let me know down in the chat. But so you're saying you're excited to see the next season and you can't wait for it to happen?
Are you asking me or Lainey?
Well, I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. So
I don't even know if Lainey even watches the show.
Okay. I am cautiously optimistic because I just can't
It
imagine
holds up TV.
that they, like, I think maybe what they would do is possibly intermix Abby's story into season 2 and 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, on one end of the screen, or like, one side, on one episode we got Ellie and Joel living with Tommy and Maria's camp, right? Or their city, Jackson Hole, whatever it is. And then in a next episode we're with Abby. Because
Well, you think they'll do that for the whole season? That would be crazy.
Maybe to make her more. Here's the thing. Because we only get to meet Abby halfway through the second game, that was another reason why I feel it wasn't strong. Because who is this girl? Why are we playing her? We get to know her basically, like, oh, she cares about her people, but she's still the person we know killed Joel. And I know a lot of people said, I the whole time I'm playing Abby, I wanted to kill her. So, like, being forced to play Abby was not an enjoyable experience for a lot of people. Maybe the idea will be that showing her a season before she becomes a villain as an empathetic character who's trying to take care of her people, after her father is murdered, maybe that will make it more impactful,
Right. So Lainey says, wait, well, isn't this season 1? My entire season behind? What the fuck? No. We're speculating about season 2.
Yes, this is the perfect time to binge for season 1, Lainey.
Oh no, Lainey said she did, right? She said I did, and she saw it.
Okay.
And so we're speculating from what we know about the video game. Number 2. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Here's another problem with that I have with The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's limited stories going on here. So let's say they do, a deviation, and they're like, before we get to the Abby story, we're gonna let them go on other adventures. What adventures are they gonna have? Where are they gonna go? What are they gonna see? Is there anything going on?
They could go to the CDC. In Atlanta.
I think you're thinking of Walking Dead, which is a plot.
I know, but you know what? It made sense for them to go to the CDC in Atlanta, right? And
it
here you have,
did.
Yeah, and here you have Ellie, and she does need to have somebody who she knows is a real doctor, and maybe like a really smart doctor, look her over and maybe talk to her about what her options are.
Yeah, because honestly, plot wise, they could have her discover on her own that she is still
right
or savior, right?
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but when Ashley Johnson as her mom,
Josh Whedon's girlfriend,
Allegedly, she was one of his
For those who don't know, that's the waitress from Avengers #1.
Right. So anyway, yeah. He's married. He's married, by the way. So, but it doesn't matter.
Joke. I made a joke.
Okay.
You don't need to defend Josh Whedon on my show.
I know. But and she's married too. My point is, during the birth scene at the beginning of the last episode, she lied to Marlene.
Right.
She lied about the
when she cut the umbilical cord. She claimed she cut it
exactly
before she was attacked, but she was already infected.
Right. So there you go. That's possibly how Ellie developed
it 1,000% is.
Right. Maybe that's something they could discover. Remember, Ellie later on has Dina, her girlfriend, who's pregnant, right? There's got to be Maria's pregnant at this point. So maybe that's something they could go into in season 2. Even if they can't cure regular people, they could cure babies.
And you know what? Another thing they could discover, because Walking Dead never goes into an explanation as to what is going, like how this happened. They could find
aliens. It's aliens.
I would love it to be. I really wish Walking Dead had the balls to end it and be like, it's aliens. Because
well, you know what? He should have ended the comic that way.
But you know what? You know where he got that idea from, right? I think he did, because Night of the Living Dead implies that it's aliens.
Oh, okay.
So the original Night of the Living Dead is the only explanation that they had, is that they said something flew by Earth and it had a weird radiation to it. And as it flew by Earth, all the dead started to rise.
Right. So yeah, if the viewers, listeners aren't familiar, Robert Kaufman, the Kirkman. Pardon me. Why did I say Kaufman? I'm thinking of Lloyd Kaufman. But anyway, Robert Kirkman, the creator of Walking Dead, when he first was pitching the idea of the comic to Image, said that he was going to, within a few episodes or a few issues of the comic, he was going to bring in aliens as the reason for the zombie invasion. Zombie apocalypse, and it would eventually be about humans versus aliens, and they liked that idea, right? But he started writing it and he thought that was stupid, and he decided that he wanted to continue writing about
the zombies. He only did it to get the show. Or no, he did it to get the comic book in the first place.
Right. Because they liked that idea. Because just saying it's a zombie comic was already, kind of like done,
And what I would love for them to explore the yeast thing and definitively say that it was the yeast that made
right.
So that would be kind of cool. Shaolin says, I just can't do it anymore. Any of these depressing ass stories. I watch these things to escape my shitty world. Why do I want to depress myself more from my television? I agree. I feel you. That's why I hate The Last of Us 2. It will forever be, in my opinion, one of the worst video games ever made.
So yeah, I feel like
I'd rather shit out diamond-studded dildos than have to go through, experience, or even watch a playthrough of Last of Us 2. Lady says, of course she did, or else she would have killed the baby.
Right, but what I was saying, lady, is just that's a potential cure for babies in the future.
Right, so, yeah. And so it's so funny that Jeremy John said this. That he said, "Oh, it appears that like getting bitten, like you get bitten while a woman's in labor, and it will cure the child." He said, "Well, imagine if the Fireflies knew that." They would probably replicate that over and over again.
Well, here's the
thing.
But you know what, though? There's also the idea of storing umbilical cord blood. Remember, umbilical cords store blood. And that blood sometimes is blood banked. I don't know if you know this, but people have the option of storing their umbilical cords that have umbilical cord blood. And that has restored, like it has special properties. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what the look
It's
at this
the
guy.
baby's blood that the Democrats inject into themselves.
Right, exactly. That's why Nancy Pelosi is able to beat up
She's nearly 400 years old.
strangers. Yes. So anyway, if they could, for instance, mix infected blood with umbilical cord blood, that could be another solution. You know.
I didn't even think about that, but that is clever. But I do think that the Fireflies would they're like, let's do this 100 times over and sacrifice all these mothers so we can have a generation of kids who are immune.
Yeah.
Lainey says probably no one in the apocalyptic world is the good guy. They all have their own reasons for being shitheads. I feel that, but there is one good guy, definitively, or two. Joel and Ellie, and anyone who hurts one of them is the devil and deserves to die. And if there was a video game ever made about somebody who hurt them, that video game is a piece of shit, and the writers of that video game should burn it.
So I will say that the show did a really, really good job of making me care about Ellie even more than I cared about Ellie in the game. And I know there were people who looked at Bella Ramsey and were like, she is not a stereotypically cute girl. I'll say this.
But you felt
this being blunt. Yeah.
Yo, you
but
fell
I
for
did
it.
care about her.
But you fell for it because they made sure to make her extra sassy, and they're like, "Oh, look at they're like, look at how sassy. She's way more sassy than her video game counterpart." Such a charm.
But you know what? You know what though? I liked her, and I like the fact. Here's the thing: I liked Sarah too. If the show had been about Sarah, I would have liked Sarah as a character. But she is different from Ellie. And I think that was pretty cool that in the little time that we got to know Sarah, Joel's daughter, in the first episode, we got to know her a little bit, and she has a different personality than Ellie. Ellie is a smart. You know what? Here I do want to address this though. Ellie is a bit of a smartass, but she is not an annoying smartass. There is another show. I got to tell you something. I've tried to watch it twice, and I fucking hate the main character. And it's coming back. It's called Shadow and Bone on Netflix.
Oh, that thing.
And let me tell you something. Alina Starkov is the most annoying Mary Sue ever. And she talks like a Whedon character, like she's like Buffy, but stuck in a show where everybody else is talking like they're in Russia in the 1900s. It's very weird.
Right.
I have no idea. And she's supposed to be this sassy, plucky girl, but it makes no sense. She was this sad, poor girl, orphan girl, raised in an orphanage in 1900s Russia, basically fantasy Russia. That makes no sense that she's this plucky girl. Anyway, Ellie, I buy. She is convincing to me as a normal girl. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, no.
Yeah. I see her with Riley. Riley seems more mature. She seems like she's got her head on her shoulders. But Ellie is more of like a. She's just a kid, And I even saw why that Fedra agent was so nice to Ellie, because even though she's a scamp. She's a rapscallion.
Yeah, a rapscallion.
She is a cute kid, and it's very easy to like Ellie.
Lainey questions the whole Joel thing. So Lainey, you don't. Here's what I think that like a lot of people aren't getting. He's Wolverine. He's not the hero that we want. He's the hero that we need. And so he does the grimy things so that good people can live on and do what they need to do. And he's not a Boy Scout. I think the point of apocalyptic tales basically tell us you can't have a Boy Scout in a world where even the dead are trying to eat you. Can't trust other humans. There's no food. You don't have clothes on your back. You're freezing to death. There is no Captain America in a world like that. Captain America is busy robbing somebody for their shoes.
Let me ask you a question about a different game, but a very similar theme. Do you think Lee from the Walking Dead video game was a good guy?
I do, but
there's always
the Walking Dead video game. That was the start of the apocalypse. They were still civilized.
Right.
Imagine after 20. Well, I wonder what he'd be at 20 years later.
That is true.
That is
true.
They still had semblance that the world was coming back, so they still had civilized ideas. Joel's been doing this at least 20 years. He's seen all the darkness.
He's like an animal.
Yeah, he's an animal, but he's an animal with a heart. Because once again, I gotta say, in that final scene, and Lainey, this is a spoiler. I don't know or whatever, but this is a finale spoiler. In that scene, when the doctor, supposedly the good doctor trying to save humanity, looks at him and he's like, "I will not let you take the girl." Who is the worst person? Joel, because he's killed a couple of people to survive, or this man who's going to kill this little girl?
But the doctor thinks that. I mean, that's why I don't trust this doctor. He thinks that he's just gonna pop open her brain.
The moment he spoke, I clapped the moment Joel pulled that trigger. I would have pulled the trigger too. How fucking dare you try to say that you're not.
Doctors are very narcissistic, man. Just,
He was hoping that civilized would be like civilized lies. The mask of civilization would control Joel, and Joel would be like, "Oh well, he's an educated, liberal man. I'm going to leave him alone." No,
I think he was a veterinarian.
Well, whatever he is, it doesn't matter. He's got a bullet, which I'm happy about. Lainey, in terms of Shadow and Bone, says, I want to read the books, but I did enjoy them. Enjoy the show. She also says, oh no, I'm not questioning Joel at all. I love Joel. Yeah, we love Joel. Shaolin says, yes, I do. Lee was great. Absolutely. Right? He was a good man. Once again, I'm pointing out that it was the beginning of the apocalypse. He had not seen the real dirt of it. Just like in Walking Dead in the later seasons. Maybe he's not an animal, but Rick is not. Rick is no longer.
In the Walking Dead universe, Lee and Clementine are my favorite characters. I just love them so much. Yeah.
That's why he had to die. He was too good for this world. Yeah. I think a lot of times we can, in the apocalypse, I know we're getting off topic, but in the apocalypse, the people who die early, is it possible they're being raptured?
That would be a grimy kind of rapture.
Well, I'm saying that's the thing. The people who live on are supposed to go through tribulation, right? And they're suffering, horrible suffering. So maybe Rick and the survivors are really they're the real sinners who need to be going through tribulation. And people who died early are, they're living.
So let me ask you another Walking Dead question. Are you going to watch Rick and Michonne?
That's the only spinoff I'm willing to give a shot. I will give Rick and Michonne a chance. What is it? The Island of the Dead or something? Where they're going to Manhattan. It's Maggie and what's his face? No.
Negan should have died so long ago. I can't
it's just ridiculous.
Fathom Maggie and Negan together. That's just no.
Lainey says no. F that the doctor needed to die. He made a mistake not killing those nurses. I absolutely agree, Lainey. Yes, I would have killed the nurses. I was expecting him to kill the nurses.
That's why he killed Marlene. Yeah.
Yeah, after they bandaged him and they turned away and they faced the wall, I would have executed them. But he'd probably be doing them a favor. Because what are these women going to do now? Their entire army is killed.
They're going to be led by an angry 16-year-old roid raging teenage girl.
Roid raging. Possibly trans. I know she's not trans.
No, she is not.
I remember everyone thought she was trans before the game came out.
No, there was another character who was trans who was like her friend.
No, but in it, she's enormously jacked, though.
She's jacked because she works out all the time.
Of course. I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that was the rumor that they're like a trans character kills Joel. Guys, please don't watch any more Walking Dead spinoffs. Let it die with dignity. Yes, I agree. I don't know if you guys saw I think it was Tales of the Dead or Walking Dead, and it was just like short stories, and they had celebrities doing short stories. It was the worst. It was just not even they weren't even trying at this point.
Yeah, I heard about it, and I was waiting for people to tell me whether it was good or bad. But nobody had opinions, apparently.
I was going to review it, but it was so bad that I watched the first 3 episodes and I was waiting for a good episode to appear. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And I would even say, how I watch American Horror Stories with an S and their short stories? Yeah. I would say even those are better than what The Walking Dead was giving us as short stories. She says, I'm with Shaolin. Yeah, let it die. They ruined that franchise. Yeah, I mean, let that die. Zombies in general, I'm against. Like I said, I'm just over it. I'm not against them. I'm just over it. I am glad that this show gave us more than just a Walking Dead ripoff, although in the early episodes, it felt like it.
Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing, like, I was thinking about, like, were all these stories necessary? Because, like I've told you before, I feel like they were beating us over the head with the idea that what would you do for love if the if you're pushed to the absolute limit? Because we see Tess, who loves Joel, she sacrifices herself. Even she believes in the mission for Ellie to cure everybody, but I think she sacrificed herself because she loved Joel. You know.
Yeah.
Um, then we have Frank and what's the other guy's name? It's
Like, say it's,
the gay lovers. What are their names?
oh, I forget their names.
Okay, so we have the dude from Parks and Rec and the other
Right,
guy.
right, right. Say Ron Swanson.
Okay, so we
Ron
have the Ron.
Swanson and the dude from Welcome to Chippendales.
Okay, so yes, we have those two,
Hmm.
and that was a very sad story, and basically that could have been a Walking Dead story. I mean, we
Yep.
don't even see any infected. I mean, like barely see any infected in that.
Right.
Could have been a
Yeah.
Walking Dead story. Didn't really matter, honestly. I know that in the game they meet the Ron Swanson's character, and the other character is already dead in
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. They had already
Uh,
broken up, and so
yeah,
he talks about it that he's like, "Yeah, I had a partner," and you don't know what he means by partner.
yeah.
it's all implication. It was 2013. We didn't go through the drastic
But
social
you
change.
do you do see the body later
Yes,
on.
yeah, no, but and then later on when you're adventuring, they try to link up with him, and they see he hung himself,
Yeah.
and so but yeah, no, they adventure with the Ron Swanson character for a little while, and he actually
Yeah.
has some great action sequences, which was all
Right.
removed in the name of like dramatized, like let's kill each other as lovers thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Um,
all to serve this once again. Druckmann beating us over the head with themes.
it was sad.
What would you do for love? And in this, the guy has this unnamed illness, and instead of surviving, Ron Swanson is ready to die with him. You know.
Yeah,
Then we have the Abby substitute in Kathleen in Kansas City. Um, did not need 2 episodes for that. That was very
yeah,
much
no,
dragged
yeah, I
out.
didn't care for it. There was too much of. They could have gutted a lot of it, including Kathleen as a character.
Yeah, I mean, even though I like Melanie Linsky, she's a great actress. That role was so unnecessary.
Yeah,
She
actually,
didn't add
it is
anything.
completely unnecessary. You could edit it down to like one episode, the 2 episodes,
Yeah.
and it would flow fine.
Oh
If
yeah,
you're
because
just following our
Henry and
heroes.
Sam were more compelling. We
Mhm.
could have just met Henry and Sam and just had that little interlude with Henry and Sam. And of course, Henry and Sam, once again, what would you do for love? Henry betrayed his city,
Mhm.
betrayed the resistance in Kansas City for a little boy, and as Kathleen says, who is probably going to die anyway. And then he did die. So poor little Sam. Um, it's beating us over the head with the theme of what would you do for love, you know?
Right, because
Um,
the dude had to kill his own son or brother.
brother, yeah.
Yeah, brother,
But
his own
but
brother
but even before that, he had basically sacrificed Kansas City, if you think about it.
before him. Yeah,
For yeah, the protection of the city, his life in Kansas City, in order to like get the drugs for his brother from Fedra, he betrayed the leader of the resistance, right? So you got this kid who's not going to be able to live long anyway because he's sick. Um, that he's willing to betray everybody and risk everything for. Um, so yeah, like I just feel like the beating over the head of themes is a bad thing. It is a great show, even though I have these criticisms. And I do think that it worked in the end.
I have maybe not the ultimate criticism, but a criticism
Yeah.
that beats down. I just want you guys to think about this because maybe I'm overlooking at it. How do the fungus people live without eating? for 20 years?
What do fungus survive on?
No, but why would their corpses remain? Their corpses should have rotted. Even if fungus is growing inside you, your body's going to rot. Like,
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
would-
why would there be armies of these things 20 years later? They would have decayed.
Well, maybe the fungus was feeding on the people. So 20 years later, they should be completely fungus. And they should be feeding on, I don't know, whatever fungus eat, you know?
But
Fungus
why
eats
would that nourish
something.
your human body?
I'm
Just something to
gonna
think about.
look up, what do fungus eat?
No, but why would what the fungus eat nourish a human body? Like, how are they still writing a
Okay,
human?
let me just remind you that Neil deGrasse Tyson debunked the zombies from The Walking Dead, and everybody told him to shut up and stop thinking too hard about it.
Well, that's because those are made by aliens, and they can do whatever they want. The aliens can do whatever they want.
Right.
The
But he was
fungus can't
basically
do whatever
saying,
they want. Fungus
he
have
was
rules.
saying that it's impossible for like the virus, whatever virus they mentioned at in the CDC episode of The Walking Dead, that it was impossible to actually turn you into a zombie.
Yeah, because they said that they described it as weaponized meningitis, which is like, what?
Yeah.
They clearly didn't think that through. But like I said, I think aliens are involved, and maybe one day when they actually end the franchise, aliens will come down and be like, "Look what we did to the humans," or some shit.
What do fungi eat? I'm looking this up right now.
Okay. I think we're gonna have to answer that next episode on Rogue Planet, but I think this has been a really good discussion so far.
They eat dead things. This is what Google told me.
So they would have eaten the corpses that they're writing. Wouldn't their armies just dwindle over time?
Yes,
I admit that the fungal things all over, like those vines would be everywhere. They would be thriving. But why do they still have walkers and ramblers and bloaters and clickers,
I agree with you.
But do you have any final thoughts that aren't nerdy science about fungi?
I would just say that I really hope that they're able to do something new and different with season 2. Because
actually, this might be the potential to like save the franchise, and they can do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Right.
We could watch Ellie grow up. They could go on crazy adventures.
HBO needs to throw a lot of money at them and be like, look, you need to not do whatever you did to piss people off with the part 2, and just do something fun. Everybody loves Joel and Ellie. More Joel and Ellie.
No Rick and Morty writers, no She-Hulk writers, no Birds of Prey writers. You know what I mean? Like, because you know about the whole thing with Rick and Morty writers, right?
What? Well, I know about Justin Roiman, but I don't know.
No. In general, like off of Rick and Morty, they all got jobs, and they started populating like Marvel. Like Marvel hired the crap out of them. And they're really, a lot of them are responsible for phase 4. And it seems almost like they can't write outside of Rick and Morty. Like,
I think they're too meta.
No rules. Yeah. Like, actually, like, for instance, if you actually look at Ant-Man Quantumania, when Ant-Man turns into, did you see it?
I have not seen it, but I'm okay with spoilers.
There's a part where he has to go get the thing that Kang wants, and suddenly he starts splitting off into different versions of himself. He's like, "What is this?" And then Kang explains, he's like, each one of them is a different possibility that you could have been. And I'm like, this is straight out of Rick and Morty, just not funny. It's just depressing to see a poor version of it. So they need to go back to Rick and Morty where there's no rules. And we need good writers who like can write in a world with rules.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think that Hollywood in general, and especially superhero movies, need good writing. It's really sad. I don't know what's going on. We blamed COVID. There's about to be another writer's strike in Hollywood. I don't know if you're aware of this, but that's pretty sad.
Good. I'll be a scab. We'll write better than them.
Well, I guess this is our chance. This is the moment.
All writers actually don't do that. I hope no one watches this. We'll be the scabs. We'll be the first scabs in the door.
All right. Everybody keep quiet about this. We're going to write under pseudonyms, okay?
Because the way the writers in Hollywood are doing their thing now, we do not need them.
You have a good point. You have a good point. So we're about to become scabs. There you go, man. It's a great
idea. What do you call a sinking boat filled with Marvel writers?
What do you call
a good start?
Oh God,
that's how we're gonna end it. Do you have any shout outs, any plugs you want to do?
Just for you, Mantis.
That's right. And Lainey said, well, thank you so much, Gray. When are we gonna see another one of your shows come back?
You know what? If you want to do if you want to co-host a show with me, I think that would be fun sometime to do like a special, you know?
Oh, a Gray Winthrop special, the Grim Inquiries.
Grim Inquiries, yeah. You know, yeah, just to I could pick a topic that I haven't done before, and we could just do maybe a 2-hour special.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. That sounds like a lot of fun. I would really enjoy that. Guys, thank you for coming into this beautiful Wednesday. I hope you're all having an amazing one. I hope you remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, ring that notification bell, left a comment or will leave a comment. And then another important thing you need to do is this Friday is my favorite holiday. It is St. Patrick's Day. And that means it is time for the Fat Mantis's mega St. Patrick's Day stream. I'm doing 12 hours, 10 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern. You get to watch the Fat Mantis enjoy himself. And I don't mean in a sick, perverted way. I mean I'm drinking on stream. And I invite you to be there for me. I'm going to be doing everything. I'm going to be doing games, theories, talking, chatting, playing music, listening to video games, and God knows what else. I'll do anything for bets on Twitch. But anyway, sounds amazing. She also says, sounds like a great idea, and your ideas were always better. Thank you so much, lady. But guys, please tune into that. Please hit me up. You got 12 hours to come say hi to the Mantis. I'll also be taking phone calls. You guys can phone in, and we can talk and stuff like that. But until next time, this is the Fat Mantis, and
this is Gray Winthrop. Thank you.
Forgot her name for a second. Signing off. Hoping you have a great week. And until next time, ciao from motherfucking now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.